Hi, Teri.
What's up?
Not much. How are you?
Good. Do you like how you were country and I was like street?
Yeah.
That's my street.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're pretty rough and tumble.
I'll just be over here.
So you have another comparison for us today.
I do, yes.
What are you going to do?
So we're going to talk a little bit about the Rocket versus the Pasquini G4.
Okay, and you chose the Evo version?
The Giotto Evo. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about this one because it has kind of the most variation away from the G4.
Okay.
So we'll talk about this guy just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
This is our Giotto body style. Obviously, it just comes in the two body styles.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk about the V2s, basically. So not the R58, excluding that guy, and the Classic.
Okay.
But basically, this guy, the Giotto, this is the particular model here is the Evo.
Mm-hmm.
So has a tank, but you could potentially plumb it in. So you have that option, that flexibility. It does have a nice large water tank, 98-ounce water tank back there.
Mm-hmm.
And though I have not plumbed these in, there's just that little switch in the back that you flip, and then obviously all the other stuff that you have to do to like, plumb it in.
Into your wall.
But there is just that switch, so that's easy.
Okay.
Yes. You have our two gauges on the front, so basically you have your boiler and then your brew gauge, your brew head gauge.
Okay.
You also have a nice E61 brew head, which is a universal. It's used in a lot of machines, so it's kind of a more standard brew head that you can also potentially find some other portafilter options for.
Oh,
should
okay.
that be your jam,
Okay.
as you would say.
Or the street, Teri would say. But my portafilter is a 58 millimeter.
But a 58 millimeter,
Okay.
yep, on that E61 brew head. You have your hot water output and your steam over there. And these guys are, just standard dials, so opening and closing them.
Okay.
Your brew lever here, and there's nothing automatic about this. It's, for the people that like the dials and the gauges, but they want to just bring their lever up and then put their lever down.
So they're starting and stopping the shot.
Yes,
There's no volumetric.
There's no automatic
Okay.
any sort of thing with this. It's just basically start and stop on your own.
Okay.
So not really a lot of bells and whistles with this guy, but very basic, very straightforward, and that standard of a brew head and the potential for plumbing.
Got it. Okay. And then these are also insulated.
No burn. Yeah. So they're no burn, meaning that they will get a little bit warm, but they're not going to burn that milk on there.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay.
Here we are again.
So this is the G4.
So this is the Pasquini Livia G4. And out here on the floor we have the kind of the top of the line model, but it comes in those other configurations. So the particular one that we can compare here is our version with volumetric programming and the PID.
Okay, got it.
With this version, there's just the water tank. It's a pretty large water tank, but it's a little bit smaller than the Rocket. It's a 92-ounce water tank compared to the 98-ounce.
Okay.
But there's no plumbable option. So you just have a straight tank for this guy.
Okay.
There is volumetric programming on this model, though. So your single and your double you can program in there, and then obviously the shot will stop automatically for you.
Okay.
And the all-important PID. Even though it's still a heat exchanger, this is our heat exchanger with the PID option. So you can play around with temperature on this guy if that's something that you want to, experiment with.
And so it's because there's a thermal block as well, so it kind of manages the temperature a little bit.
There's a thermal block at the brew head that's controlling that temperature.
Got it.
So you have your PID there. You also have basically your hot water and your steam output. These are any direction, and they're not, again, like the Rocket, not programmable in any way for your water and your steam, but they do, give you that option to have those processes happening simultaneously with your brewing.
Okay. What about my portafilter?
Portafilter is also a 58 millimeter.
Okay.
This isn't the E61 style brew head, but it's in, it's the standard size for a lot of the portafilters, which is 58. You have a nice tall clearance, a slightly smaller drip tray than the Rocket.
Okay.
And this guy's just slightly narrower overall.
Yeah.
That's kind of the other thing that, people looking at these two machines this is our little narrow, almost looks like it's a little more kitchen friendly because it's a little bit smaller.
Okay.
And the people that look at the Rocket, they're sort of like, oh my gosh, it's
So big.
Yeah. So
What about height? Is it a similar height? It
similar
seems-
height. Yeah,
Okay.
you know what? I
It
didn't
seems
measure
like
the
it's
two
a
of
little
them.
bit shorter,
It's,
but maybe not
just
by much.
I think it's just a hair smaller.
Okay.
Definitely narrower. Length is pretty comparable on the two of them as well.
Okay.
So we've got all the dimensions online. So if you have a kind of a space
Concern.
constraint, you should
Okay.
definitely measure it out in your kitchen.
And then, so this is the top of line as you mentioned, but there is just one that is kind of more similar to the Evo where it's
Yes.
just a semi-auto as well,
there's
right?
just a semi-auto that you have basically your toggle buttons
Okay.
to start and stop your brewing. And then there's the version that's kind of in the middle that
Okay.
has the volumetric programming, or I'm sorry, not the volumetric programming, the programming.
No, it has the semi-auto switches, but the PID.
Yes, that's what it is.
So it's the sort of the first
Yes,
or the
sorry.
entry machine on the
Yeah.
G4 is more similar to the Evos.
Rocket. Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's the two that have the PID. Sorry.
To play around with. Okay. That's okay.
It's Monday.
Hey, you know what? I'm
That's
here
what
to.
Kat's here
Yeah,
for. She's the
I'm
one with the
just-
knowledge.
I'm just laying down some science. Okay, so now we'll do. How about we do a performance compare? You want to make some lattes?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we'll be right back.
Okay.
Now, you said you were a little nervous about steaming on this, Teri.
It's just so powerful.
You gotta raffle it.
Yeah. Oops. And then I talk, and then I get a little foam in there. Also, I like cappuccino foam, so I always make a lot of foam. I'll try to tone it down.
Slow your roll a little bit.
Yeah. But I am forever making a mountain of foam. And then I wonder why I can't do latte.
It's like
Giant mushroom.
my latte art always looks like a big balloon.
That's right. It's always an apple or a heart. These are the things we do.
How'd it turn out?
Not too bad. It's a little less foam than I normally do.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Alright.
There are a bunch of different steam tips you can get this for the Rocket too, if you're so inclined. Ooh, I should probably stop that coffee. Hey, coffee.
That you can just mess around with to see which ones you like.
And it's funny, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, these are so fun to play around with, but if I want the best foam, I go back to the regular tip.
Oh, really? That's so funny.
You're always writing and
I guess
saying that.
maybe if you have used it for a while with the normal one. Ooh. There you go. There's a little
It's a
heart.
sad little heart. He's like the ghostly heart.
Yeah, he's a little bit of a portly heart.
Delicious. It's tasty.
Is it yum?
Yep.
What kind of coffee did you use?
It's the Ladro Diablo, so it's their darker. Yep.
Muy fuerte. Okay, so we'll be back with the G4.
Yes.
Do you feel like this one is easier to handle than the Rocket?
I do. I feel like the design of the steam arm is a little bit easier as I bump it, but I feel like it's a little bit more stable.
Oh, okay.
So that, you know, you don't have as much flexibility to bump it and kind of move it around, just for me personally.
I see. So the ergonomics of it are a little bit better for you.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know, the Rocket is just so fast to foam.
Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, it's great once you're really well practiced and all that. You can get, you know, some really...
So you feel like this was a little slower for you to get the right
this
texture?
guy's a little bit, yeah, exactly. It gives you that time to kind of work it a little bit. So that you're able to, you know, if you want to do something that's not always super foamy, but it's not too bad. Again, it's probably a little bit too foamy for latte art. Not that that's what, you know, we're all about here. We're about flavor.
Yeah.
Taking you to flavor.
We're like the proof is in the pudding. I don't care how it looks.
That's right.
How does it taste?
Yes. Another lovely giant muggo coffee here.
Oh, Teri.
Oh, see, this is the part where I don't know what I'm doing.
You were on your way though. Like you had sunk the milk, which is the first thing below the crema, and then you just kind of have to like probably practice doing a little painting with your foam.
Be a little more patient instead of being like, oh God.
Freak out.
Or something.
Be patient with your art, Teri.
Tasty. See, I feel like this is a little bit smoother than the shot off of the Rocket was. I feel like this one's a little bit more mild. Do you notice that? I'm
Yeah.
just making that up.
No.
It's a little bit.
It could be definitely a temperature
definitely.
differential.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. The one off the Rocket was nice, but it was
a little bit smokier.
yeah, smokier is probably a good.
Yeah.
Gets more of that smoke flavor in there, whereas this has more
It's a little bit
of the chocolate.
Yeah, a little bit sweeter. Yep. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So why would I buy the G4 over the Rocket?
So I would say you would buy the G4 over the Rocket if you want some of those additional bells and whistles.
Okay.
If you like the idea of volumetric programming, potentially. If you like the idea of there being a PID option.
Okay.
And you want something that's not going to necessarily look like such a monster on your counter. This one is
So
a
maybe-
little bit cuter.
So maybe the just semi with no PID would be like for a size
if
thing.
You just want, if you just want the
Okay.
basic machine and you just want something that's, not going to look quite as commercial level.
Okay.
Even though neither of them are commercial, again, sometimes people look at the Rocket and they say, oh my gosh, I need just a home machine.
Got
And
it.
It's not a commercial machine. It just looks like one.
And then why would I get the Rocket over the G4?
So if you want plumbable, that's, I think, the big reason. If
Okay.
you're interested in that potentially. If you want an E61 brewhead style machine that has that, kind of universal brewhead. If you want something that has, the gauges, the knobs, it looks like
More
such a
classic.
showpiece.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Cool.
that would be the reason.
But as far as their performance and the cup, they're really fairly similar.
Yeah, exactly. They are. They have a lot of similarities between the two of them, and obviously they can both produce a really great cup of coffee.
Coffee, yeah, at the end of the day.
Yep.
Cool. Thanks, Deli.
Yeah.